So, this is going to be a pretty random video for me to make, but I feel like it's better that I have it kind of like this, just a random thing I do and talk about random things about this game, rather than have it super compiled in my 50/20 completion that I had, which was no power-ups, no death coin. I don't even know how you get the death coin. My mic is really... I don't have this situation sorted out for this video. Because this thing's closer than it normally is. Okay, that's a bit better. So, first off... Jesus Christ, it's so loud. Okay. To get it out of the way, do I hate the game? No. Do I like the game? Not really. It's kind of eh. Which is unfortunate, because I did expect it to be better. But at the same time, I don't think it's garbage. So, it could have been worse. But I definitely have issues with the game. And I think to... This game is loud for me, okay. I think just to go through them, I should really go about how do I feel about the things that I actually can say some good stuff about, which are things like the visuals. The visuals overall are pretty alright. It could have been better, it could have been worse, but they work fairly well, and I don't really have any complaints about it. That's one of the few good things I actually can say about this game, honestly. The challenges. Things here are kind of weird, because there were things caught in the trailer that aren't changed when they should be. Ladies Night 1 and Boys Night 1 don't have 2s. And this was caught by someone in the trailer, and the dev recognized this. And it didn't get changed. I highly doubt this was on purpose. I'm pretty sure this was kind of just an accident thing that ended up happening. So this is kind of just a minor one. And yeah, I haven't done all the challenges. I did most of them though. So yeah, this is kind of weird, but it could have been much worse. Also, it says it's the wrong fucking version number. I should be on 0.1.6. In fact, that's the version I opened. And it says I'm on 0.1.5. Well, I guess that's a new thing to mention. Not a major one, but something worth pointing out. Okay, let's just get the bullshit out of the way. Endo 01. So, this... I first want to get it out. That this guy's mechanic is being changed, and so far it does actually look pretty alright. I just hope that it gets balanced well. But this mechanic is pure RNG, and there is nothing you can do about it. This should never have been there in the first place. Because the thing with the original UCN, yes, there's a lot of RNG in 50/20, but if you play in certain manners, it's actually possible to eliminate a decent amount of RNG. Sure, it can still be there, but if played properly, a lot of RNG can be eliminated. And this is specifically when I talk about no stalling. So, the RNG reduces a good amount, but the skill required increases tremendously. So, it's kind of a 50-50 with the way you go about it. If you prefer skill over RNG, you may want to do it no stalling. But I highly recommend you don't do that for first completion, because no stalling is incredibly difficult. Anyway, this game. Yeah, Endo 01, he should have never had this as his first mechanic, but it is being changed, and it looks like it will work decently well. So, that's really all I have to say about that, dude. Now let's get into something that is a bit confusing. Nightmare Foxy and Bonnie. How did you get the doors wrong? It says on the description Foxy appears on the right and Bonnie appears at the left, but it's the reverse. How did you get this wrong? My only assumption as to how this happened is they were changed kinda last minute, or they were changed at some point in development, and it just got forgotten about. It's not too bad, because you can see them at the door, and Foxy actually has a sound cue that, like, goes to the left. So it's not the worst, but it's confusing how this got missed. Oh, yeah. This, how did you get this missed? I don't know. This is so confusing. How did you forget this? From what I can tell, this is a bit of an artifact thing. Either Electrobab's mechanic was supposed to be changed before release, and only the description ended up being changed, leading it to be highly inaccurate? Or Electrobab was going to be changed, and didn't. I don't actually know, but the fact that these things got missed in development is not great. Thankfully, those are kind of the only major description things that seem to be incorrect off the top of my head. I haven't played this game in a while. I haven't done anything in this game for quite a while, ever since I did 5020. So, yeah, but it's weird that these got missed, and I'm not sure how. But aside from that, those are the only description things I can remember that are wrong. Oh yeah, this dude. It's so vague. It's so vague. And it doesn't tell you how to deal with him. It just says what happens, and he doesn't seem to even be active, really, even on 20. Oh right, that's how you adjust the AI levels. Yeah, that's weird. You can't use the mouse, you have to use the arrow keys. But yeah, even on 20, he seems to just not be active, really. And even then, it just doesn't tell you how to deal with him. So it's really dumb. That's just kind of some of the main things to deal with that are weird. Now, I think we can get into... Oh yeah, the offices. It's every 2,000 points, and there's 6 offices total. I actually do kind of like this. As far as I know, though, it only goes to 8,000, which is this one. And I feel like there actually should be an office for 5020, which would be 10,000. That would be something neat to see. But I don't think it's required. But that's just kind of something that I feel about that. Okay. If you can't tell, this is completely unscripted. I don't do scripts, I just say shit. It's time to go into some of my major complaints with how this game plays. Specifically, characters. More specifically, character groups. Okay, which ones are which? Rockstar Freddy, Rockstar Chica, Circus Baby, Ennard, and Lefty. Also Shadow Freddy. Those are all the ones I can remember. All of them, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters, are all temp reliant, and one of them is non-lethal. As far as I know, anyway. The thing about this that's stupid is because if you keep your temp like 60 to 80, you have absolutely no chance of dying to any of them. So that's 6 characters that are completely irrelevant. And on top of that, an additional problem with it Ennard and Lefty conflict really badly. Ennard is at 115. If it goes past that, you're going to die. Lefty is at 120. Then you die. If Ennard is active, Lefty is just free points. That's it. There is nothing more to it. And it just makes no sense with this. On top of that, if you don't want to deal with Ennard being a 115, you can instead have Lefty at 120, which is just easier. But the thing is, you're likely going to have another temp character active, which means that you're going to be avoiding going to 100, which makes both of them pointless. It's just, wow. It's so dumb. There's just no way that you're going to die to Ennard if you have Lefty active, and vice versa. And there's no way you're going to die to either of them anyway, because no matter what, you're going to be avoiding 100 degrees. So it's just really dumb. On top of that, there is an additional issue that relates to another item that you can utilize, the mask. Okay, let's take a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's all of them. That is 8 characters that all use the mask. 8! Yeah, you have the flashlight. So keeping the mask on for a lot of the night eliminates 8 characters. 8! It's insane! That is so many that you can easily eliminate. It's not even funny. Oh, there's 7 temp characters. Oh, bloody hell. Okay. We're on the mask. I'm not going to mention that. So that's just like, that's 8. Oh, there's another temp character. Oh my god. I don't need to say more. Okay. That's 8 characters that you eliminate with the mask super easily. Like, wow. There's 4 characters in the original UCN that all use the mask. Golden Freddy is unavoidable, and Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica are unavoidable. Wither Bonnie is avoidable via intervals. It's every 13 seconds. So just don't go in the cams on a 13-second interval or he spawns. But even then, that's only 4 characters that use the mask. Which is pretty decent when there's 50 characters. In here, there's 8. And there's like 8 temp characters. Maybe 9. I didn't recount them after Fredbear and Chica. Which is just a massive amount of characters in both groups. Which is just stupid. So they need mechanics to be reworked. It just doesn't work well with the way they currently are. And I do have some, like, slight ideas, but I don't really know if they could work, and it would require some things in the game to be changed. I think we'll go into that kind of later on, if I can remember. Because I'm still not done complaining about mechanics. Another issue that characters have here All of them are incredibly easy. Except for one. And that's Foxy. Now, Foxy is a massive pain in the original UCN. Trust me, I've beaten the original 5020. He's hard. And he's pretty much completely RNG sometimes. But there is a decent amount of times where he is skilled. Oh, I just turned up the games volume. I had to hear myself. In here, he is the music box character. What I've personally found in my 5020 experience is that his music box winds down faster than it goes up. Everything I know about Puppet in the original UCN, it goes up as fast as it goes down. So this going down faster than it goes up is a bit dumb, and it also leads to some imbalanced situations. On top of that, this leads into another complaint I have about the gameplay of this. Foxy is the only hard character. The power-ups in this game are fucking stupid. Auto Music Box completely eliminates the hardest character in the game. Vent Repel completely eliminates every Vent character. DD Repel is pointless, because even if DD spawns, the characters are so easy that it doesn't matter which one she adds. On top of that, there is no secret characters from everything that I know of. It's pointless. 10 coins. There's barely anything you can even do with the coins. And if you buy the death coin with it, I don't even know how you do it. Well, the death coin usage of it was decently vague if you just went into the original UCN without knowing much about it. You can still buy it and easily figure out what it does. The death coin exists in this game, but there's just no clear way to get it, or use it, or even which characters can be death coined. I have absolutely no idea how you get the death coin. And this is even after having done 5020. There's just no clear way to get it, and borderline no way to figure out which characters you can get rid of with it. Because it's so hard to get. And on top of that, it doesn't even matter. The way the death coin was used in the original UCN, the main strategy with it was to death coin Funtime Foxy, who, while works similar in this game, you need to be in the office instead of the cameras. Funtime Foxy being in the cameras is the reason he was death coined in 5020. Or at least that's the common strategy. But there's other characters you can death coin, and in usual routes it would be the Puppet and Chica to save power, which is how people got an 83% green run on 5020. Well, that's one of the many ways they did it. But here, not only is the death coin hard as hell to obtain, I don't even know who you can death coin, and Funtime Foxy is in the office, so there's just no clear character that is able to be death coined. And the only one I can assume that would be death coinable is Foxy, because he's the hardest one, and even then, there's a power-up that completely eliminates him. It's so stupid. And I think I actually do know the biggest flaw with this game. It's UCN Plus, which, well, that's not really a bad thing, that's fine, but UCN Plus itself doesn't feel like UCN at all. That's what I find the biggest issue of this game to be. It just doesn't. It just really is not UCN at its core. Which, I mean, the true at its core would just be the original game. But I've kind of learned what UCN is at this point through some things like Deluxe and Recode, which, you know, are recodings of the original game. And even more so through the original game, because I've had a lot more playtime on it. I have like 30 hours on it now. And this game simply isn't Ultimate Custom Night. It does not feel like Ultimate Custom Night. It does not play anything like an Ultimate Custom Night styled game. This game, at its core, simply isn't UCN. At all. And I think I have some ideas as to why. The main thing is that there are many characters that you can literally isolate into groups that effectively all function the same. I actually mentioned this, the mask and temperature characters. There's simply too many of them that mesh into one group that you can eliminate so easily. On top of that, there are only two systems. The camera system and the vent system. In fact, I'm going to go into a night to show this. What the fuck? I did not know this existed. Alright, that's going to be in my nightmares. But there's only two systems. And yeah, there's just no depth coin anywhere in the cams. Just to show that. I have no idea how you get it. Also, the flashlight being a fucking toggle is weird. But here, this allows me to show even more just why this game isn't UCN at its core. And really just does not feel like it. One, there is a decent amount of cameras, but the layout of the place is kind of weird. On top of that, basically all of them are pointless. The only ones you'll ever need are this one and this one. Now, Envo 01, when he gets his mechanic changed, you will actually need to use kind of more of them. As he takes kind of this path, I think, and then into the office. But the issue with it is that, you see, the cameras, they have the cam system, the vent system, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's no reset ventilation. There's no tools. You don't have things like the power gen, the heater, the power AC, the silent vent, and GMB. There's nothing like those. On top of that, the entire strategy for 50-20 is to keep both doors closed. The entire night. You absolutely should not have the power to do this. On top of that, some of the mechanics with the door characters simply don't combine well enough to play without the cheese strat of closing both doors. They simply don't. Plus, many characters here, the vent system, are just really weird. Most of them enter the office anyway, and then you deal with them in the office. The mediocre melodies can't be dealt with in the vent system. They just can't be. Literally at all. Plus, whenever Toy Chica is here, Scrap Baby is also here, which blocks seeing Toy Chica. that is awful. Scrap Baby should be more centered to avoid this. And there's only 2 doors. The original UCN had 4. 2 doors and 2 vents. On top of that, there was an additional system of the duct system, with some additional mechanics of opening or closing one of the ducts and utilizing the audio lore. The simple way of the character mechanics and way the game plays isn't UCN, much less a UCN-styled game. It is so drastically different that it fails to be what it tries. This game absolutely could be better, and it has a chance to be so, but the current state of it is, for what it's meant to be, of a remake of UCN, it fails at what it's supposed to be. And it's genuinely worse than the original game. Now, while maybe not trying to be better than the original game completely, which is completely fine, I just want to get that out of the way, the way the game is, of trying to be a remake of UCN, it completely fails at. In so many regards that it's just not even funny. I'm gonna be honest. Now, this is where I bring in a kind of odd thing that is different from most of the UCNs, and this would take a lot of time to add, I'm aware. But this is kind of one of the odder suggestions I want to put out for this game. If the dev wants to keep the main part of the game very similar to the way it is currently, but provide a solution for people like me that really don't like the game in its current state and want it to be more similar to how UCN, Deluxe, and Recode kind of things are, I have a suggestion for this, but it would take time to add, time to test, and time to get balanced right. So this is kind of an out there thing, but is a suggestion that I have. And that is a hard mode. Now, what this would do isn't like Recode's hard mode, where it adds an additional thing to each character that makes it harder. Rather, hard mode would change the game up immensely. The current way that it is, basically, let's take The Office for example. 2 doors, the fan, and that is it outside of utilizing the flashlight, the mask, and seeing somebody pop out from one of the ventilations and stuff. Completely change it. The 2 doors, they can stay, and kind of, well, maybe completely change it isn't the right way to word it. But basically, you bring back the way the original UCN office is. And what I really mean by that is the 2 doors, the mask, the fan, the flashlight, and you can keep the little big vent things for some of the characters, like the vent system characters. But some of the characters get completely changed, and now you have 2 additional vents, the front vent and the side vent, just like the original UCN. This actually works for some of the characters that can be changed. BB. He goes through the ventilation system, and, you know, he's there. Something you can do to change him is that he functions like the original UCN, but at the top vent. Ennard functions like the original UCN, but at the side vent. And this is kind of the way it is. A lot of the characters get changed to have mechanics where you have to actually deal with them, like through the cameras, actually closing the doors, and on top of this, you bring back the tools from the original game too to help deal with some characters, generate power. Also, you cut the power some because there's so much goddamn power in this, it's insane. And, you know, it's kind of like that. It's more like the original UCN, but you have your own control over some of the mechanics, and it's just drastically different from the current version and harder. On top of this, there's an additional distinction for high scores in hard mode as opposed to normal mode. More specifically with 50/20. The suggestion here is that hard mode characters give double the points of normal mode characters. So the high score 50/20 is 10,000 and hard mode 50/20 is 20,000. Now, since hard mode 50/20 would be significantly more difficult, an additional suggestion is that you don't add many rewards for it as the normal. Rather, you only really get visual rewards, like an upgraded trophy, for example. Like this one that you get after 50/20. Like, upgraded trophies for the higher scores beyond 10,000. This is a really odd suggestion, and it's really one that would take time to add, time to test, and it would take a lot, so this one's kind of down the road, and that's completely fine. It is one hell of a suggestion. And that one really is just kind of a suggestion of something I think could help, at least some, if more specifically if you want to keep the main part of the game like this. But it's far-fetched. Now, outside of that, some of these mechanics desperately need changing. This first thing I'd recommend is fixing the descriptions for some characters, Electrobab, Number Bonnie, Number Foxy, and Scraptrap, and make everything far more clear on how to deal with them. That's just kind of an obvious thing no matter what you do. Aside from that, some of these characters still need changes completely separate from their original mechanics. Mainly the temperature and mask characters. They need changes. There's so many of them in their own groups, it is ridiculous. First off, a change I'd recommend for just a general balance thing is to make Foxy's music box go up just as fast as it goes down. Because, as far as I know currently, it goes down faster than it goes up, which is just stupid. So, change them to be an equal speed. But, changes that I can recommend for the temp ones. Ennard. Make him no longer temp reliant, and give him an entirely separate mechanic. I'm not fully sure on what you could give him currently, but maybe it's something similar to Endo 01, at least what's planned for him. Like what's going to be in the next update. There is scrap remains of the Funtime animatronics that will appear in your office when he is active in the cameras. Now, he won't have a linear path, but what I think you could give him: Camo 2, Camo 6, 08, and then 3. And you have to shock him in one of the cameras that he progresses. So while it is a kind of linear path, it's all over the place. Not like Endo 01 that actually makes sense. Now, for moving through cameras, for when he will move, give him 8 seconds before he moves from one of the cameras. And if he gets in the office, you are dead. Also, the doors do not stop him. Just a simple thing, because then he would be pointless with the change mechanic. On top of that, Lefty changed from 120 to 100, if you want to keep with the temp thing. Otherwise, I do have a suggestion for him. Now, I kind of have two, but I don't think the first one could work very well. And that's basically, like, his temperature limit is decreased down to, like, 100. And... what is that, a Lefty one? Okay, that's cool. And he is also noise sensitive. And if he becomes active, then a thing will appear on your desk, and you have to go to, like, one of these cameras and activate a music box. Now, you don't have to wind it, but you have to activate it, and it'll take 2%. That's the first one for Lefty. And that's the first one I ever thought of. The second one is that after a while, he will enter your office. And he will appear over here, slouched over. Kind of like the Shadow Freddy Easter egg in FNAF 3. Now, he will be facing down at the ground, like kind of over here. And if he activates, he will look at you. And you have to click him to shock him. After that, he will go away currently. And to prevent any kind of weird deaths, I would say, make it so that he can only activate after you drop your cameras, and then you cannot activate while you're in the office. And to die to him, you need to raise the cameras while he's active. That's what I can think of for him. It's not a hell of a lot, but it's certainly more unique to where it is currently. On top of that, I think to reduce the amount of mask things, Security Puppet. It takes forever when you have the mask on, and if you have the mask on, you can't see how bright the eyes are glowing. So, a suggestion for the Security Puppet is when they become active, their eyes will glow brighter over time, kind of slowly. And what you could do is a kind of wind thing when they become active. Basically, you just kind of hold-click on them like a music box, and if you reduce their activeness all the way to 0, then it will take time for them to activate again. Kind of like Lefty's thing, where they will appear multiple times, but in terms of this kind of music box thing, it will... basically, you wind it back up, and then it stops winding until Security Puppet would become active again. That's one thing that could work. On top of that, the mediocre melodies all require the mask, and they cannot be stopped in the ventilation system. This could be changed a bit. Specifically, I think Happy Frog, you could have her enter the office, and then you have to... And by enter the office, I don't mean a figurine. That's something with all three of them that's weird. I mean, like, actually enter the office, which, you know, would take a bit more time to properly implement that. But, I mean, I already suggested the fucking hard mode thing, where it would take forever, so... And that's even more far-fetched. But, like, they actually enter the office. For Happy Frog, rapidly flash the light. Which, also, it being a toggle is really weird. I don't like that. It shouldn't be a toggle, I think. Or at least, like, make an option for it to be a toggle. Like, press it once, it's on, then press it once, it's off. Either a toggle or a hold, like an option for that. Because some people prefer it to be a hold. Some may prefer it to be a toggle. Just add an option for that, because it's... I feel like some may prefer it, especially with some of the characters here, like Toy Freddy or Toy Chica, but it for the most part, it just feels really weird. And it just feels wrong. But yeah, Happy Frog, she actually enters the office, repeatedly flashes the light. Pig Patch... I'm not fully sure on. For Pig Patch, you could make it so that you have to flip up the cams and keep them up. And he gives you like 6 seconds to put it up before killing you. And he takes 2 seconds to go away. Mr. Hippo, again, kind of like actually enter the office, so it's far more clear. I think you could keep him the same, and make it so that none of the mediocre melodies can enter the office at the same time. So, like, Mr. Hippo can't appear while Pig Patch is in the office, and they can't appear at the same time, and same goes for Happy Frog with them. I think that could work. It also makes them different from each other. Yeah. I think Funtime Freddy... he can be changed. Despite the fact that kind of none of these things would change the general cheese strat for basically every fucking thing in this game. Except Nightmare Night, because that's a thing. I think what you could do for him is use, like, his SL voice lines. Hey, Bon Bon, go get him. Left door. Get ready for a surprise. Right door. And it's like 50-50. Oh yeah, Candy Cadet is a non-threat. Just at all. He's basically pointless. Yeah. Golden Freddy... I think you could just give him his original UCN mechanic, because he seems to only appear on certain cameras, and said certain cameras you'll pretty much never go on. I mean, maybe except for the interchange I recommended, along with Endo 01. But even then, he's just such a non-issue. Chica... I think what you could do for Chica is make her randomly appear in the office with at least a cooldown of 16 seconds before she can do it again. What you could do is that you have to give her her cupcake back, and it can appear in front of either door. So you pick it up and drag it to her, and then she goes away. I think that could work. And it also reduces a temperature-reliant character, again, while still having a mechanic. Aside from that, I think that's kind of all the things I can actually think about. But there is an additional thing that I don't like about this game that is a really weird thing. And you probably know it, but it's the time. Every hour is 30 seconds, so the night is even shorter than the original UCN. Which is dumb, but an additional problem I have with it is that the minute thing is actually useless. Genuinely, it's pointless. Just stare at the time. What the fuck? What the actual hell? Why does it do that? Why? There's no point. Not one. It is so dumb. It is so dumb and confusing. It doesn't make sense. And it happens for all hours, too. It's not just 1 a.m. So the minute mark is pointless. Each hour is 30 seconds, and then the seconds thing just resets and adds a minute. What the hell? Why? It's so dumb. It doesn't make sense. Just wow. This game is so weird. Okay. I think that's about all I can give for the main section of the game. Overall, the original UCN, I think I would give a 7 or 8 out of 10. I think this deserves a 4 or 5. Maybe even a 3, but it's stretching it a bit. Overall, I just really find the original UCN to be way better than this, and even, like, Recode is better. But there's an additional thing to cover, and that is Nightmare Night. Nightmare Night is kind of what I feel an addition of secret characters would be. To access the Nightmare Night, first off, you need to unlock here, which is 6,000 points, so 30-20, and go all the way through the jump scares, and go to the puppet. After that, it stacks up, and you can access Nightmare Night. Clicking on this will immediately start the night. But the issue with this that I have is that nothing is explained well. Like, the night itself is actually pretty decent, I would say. But even after having beaten it like twice, maybe 3 times, I still don't understand it. That's how bad it is. I don't understand it. Bonnet and Yendo can be figured out pretty easily. It's literally just, they work like how they do in Sister Location. But everyone else is confusing. Specifically the puppet. The puppet is the main character active throughout the entire night, and I just don't understand her. Like, there's the office mechanic, and then there's the camera mechanic. The office mechanic never gets explained at all, even in the game over tips. I just... It's so weird. I don't get it. And aside from that, the game over tips are the main problem. They're the only way the characters get explained, but it's RNG who gets explained. And the puppet only has 1 tip, and that only covers one of her mechanics. It feels broken with the way things are explained. In terms of the actual night itself, I don't think it is broken. It seems to work pretty well, and generally plays well, but it's so weird and confusing, and it just doesn't get explained correctly. A way I have to fix this is that the things can be explained in accordance to who you die to, and how you die to them. That one would be a little more difficult to do. But the puppet, the explanation for the puppet, it's just both mechanics. Nothing else, just both mechanics at the same time. Just explain, please, for the love of God. But there is an issue with this, because Phantom Mangle is non-lethal. Phantom Mangle, the way that the tip would be here, is that if you fail to get Phantom Mangle, and by fail, really, Phantom Ankle just stays there for, like, forever before you deal with them. So they take, like, say the player takes 8 seconds, or maybe 10 or 11 seconds to deal with Phantom Angle. Then Phantom Angle will get explained if you die. On top of that, Nightmare literally doesn't exist in this night. So, a recommendation I'd have for that is that Phantom Angle be inactive for, like, specifically at the max volume, for 16 seconds. And then Nightmare will kill you. And that timer will reset as soon as Phantom Mangle, not Nightmare, is dealt with. So, I think that's really all I have to say about this game. Overall, I don't really hate the game, but I had higher expectations for it, and this game really needs some work for it to actually be good. But it definitely could have been worse. It really could have been worse. For the most part, the game is pretty skill-based, even if it is easy as hell. So, it's not like 70-40, which is RNG. Basically the definition of RNG. So, all in all, I don't hate it, but I don't really like it either. Which I think for, you know, some of the opinions regarding this game, that might be one of the better ones. Specifically among Maxmodians. So, yeah. Overall, this game really needs work. And at least it wasn't, like, super buggy, too. Like, the weird things it had on launch, plus being kind of just not UCN at all, and buggy, that would have been absolutely awful. So, I think I can now just let my opinions be known of this game properly, and not just kind of leave you hanging after that 50-20 completion, which was like 2 months ago, it feels. So, yeah. That's all I have to say. And who knows, maybe this game can turn out better in the future.